Contractions. If breath holding would only come without contractions, how wonderful would the world be, right? Unfortunately, that is not reality. When we hold our breath, sooner or later we will feel contractions. In this video I will talk about 5 things that you need to know about contractions. First of all, what are they? Why they are, besides being a curse, also a blessing. Yes, that's right. When do they start? How do contractions help you? Yes, contractions can actually help you in holding your breath longer. And then the number one question I've been getting lately, that is, do contractions hurt? So what are contractions? Contractions are involuntary, yes, involuntary, you might have guessed that yourself, right? Spasms of the diaphragm due to higher levels of CO2. Now, not only the diaphragm can move up and down, also the muscles around your chest, even in the neck or even behind your ears might move a little. So all of that can be classified as contractions. They are the result of higher levels of CO2, and higher levels of CO2 are the result of holding your breath longer. If you haven't experienced a contraction yet, I would compare it to an internal hiccup. Something like that could be a contraction. It is important to know that they are natural and you can do nothing about it. So why are they a blessing and a curse? Now, a curse I don't need to explain, right? Because you probably experience these contractions as something uncomfortable, and there's many ways for uncomfortable. Some people call it extremely uncomfortable. Other people ask me whether they hurt, and I will get into that at the end of the video. But for now, besides being a curse, contractions are also a blessing, and I will tell you why. Because contractions are your natural alarm clock that tell you that it is about time to start thinking about breathing again. Now, that doesn't mean when your contraction starts that you have to start breathing right away, but it is a signal that your body gives you to start thinking, start initiating at least the process of thinking about, okay, within a while, it's probably better if I would start breathing again, because otherwise, well, I might black out. So that's why contractions are a blessing, because you need them. If you don't have those contractions, you don't know when you're gonna reach low levels of oxygen, and low levels of oxygen we call hypoxia in freediving. Now, let me elaborate just a little bit on hyperventilation. Why do we not hyperventilate when diving? Because exactly when you hyperventilate, you're lowering the levels of CO2, which means you do not get this natural alarm clock, you do not get these contractions, or at least you get contractions way later. Maybe sometimes too late, when your levels of oxygen are already too low, and then you come dangerously close to being hypoxic and a possible LMC or a blackout as a result. So, Gert, are you telling me that contractions are a blessing? Yeah, I am. So when do they start, these contractions? Well, halfway your breath hold, more or less. Halfway a maximum breath hold, let's say your maximum breath hold would be 4 minutes, and your contractions would start at 2 minutes. So that's a good thing to know, because most people, they think when the contraction starts, it's already time to start breathing again. No, it's merely a signal that tells you to start initiating the process of, okay, we are coming closer towards the maximum breath hold, so it is probably time to prepare for getting out of this breath hold and start breathing again. But it's not a signal of start breathing again immediately. Contractions are a blessing because they are your natural alarm clock, but also because of something else. Have you ever heard of the Bohr effect? The Bohr effect, very shortly explained, is basically an effect that describes the advantages of higher levels of CO2 for the distribution of oxygen into your system. I'll try to explain that again with other words now. So, when you hold your breath longer and longer, and CO2 begins to increase, which means also manifestations of contractions, that will help you in distributing the oxygen that is available in your system to the tissues, to the extremities of your body, to your brain. We call that the Bohr effect. If you do not have higher levels of CO2, which happens when you're hyperventilating, because when you hyperventilate, then contractions and higher levels of CO2, they come later, then the oxygen will not be distributed in such an efficient way to your whole body. That is why slightly higher levels of CO2 are actually better in holding your breath longer, and why advanced freedivers sometimes start their deep dive with already a little bit higher levels of CO2. And how do they accomplish that before they dive? They slightly underbreathe. So hyperventilation is overbreathing and underbreathing is hypoventilation. Underbreathing means you're breathing a little bit less than normally, so your levels of CO2 will rise. Quite interesting, isn't it? Now, let's not talk too much about advanced freedivers. This is for you guys, for 99% of all you watching my channel. Maybe you're never gonna go into the water, or maybe you're never gonna freedive, and you just want to hold your breath because breath holding is awesome. So when you feel those contractions, I want you to embrace them, because now you know that contractions help you in holding your breath longer. So instead of creating an adverse mindset towards those contractions, you might want to welcome them, because you know they're gonna come anyway. Better accept reality, better accept how nature created breath holding, and embrace the contractions. You should be able now to deal with them in a better way, to create a different mindset towards contractions. But I know still you want to know if they hurt. Now, I understand what you're asking me, Gert, do contractions hurt? I know where that comes from. It comes from a place of fear. I totally get it. But you have to understand, when you are asking me, do contractions hurt? You are letting your fear conquer your peace of mind. You don't need to know if contractions hurt, because, and now I'm becoming a little bit philosophical, what does that even mean, hurt? What is pain? What does it mean? For some people, this might be pain. I bet you do this to a child, it starts crying. Maybe more because of the surprise effect than to the actual physical pain, but still, if you ask the child, are you in pain? Did I hurt you? It will probably say yes. But you know you did not hurt the child. I'm not saying you should hit a child, I'm giving an example. Does it hurt? Maybe yes, maybe no. What is hurt? People who have been in extreme pain because of family loss, because of physical pain, God knows, maybe torture, who knows. If you would tell those people that contractions are painful, they'd probably frown their eyebrows, right? So what is pain? You decide what is pain. When we talk about contractions, we are not talking about a kind of pain that is unsupportable, that is unbearable. No, we're not. We are talking about something that is probably a bit uncomfortable, but then what does that even mean, uncomfortable? You can become comfortable with the uncomfortable. Pain and being uncomfortable is something that you decide. You decide that that is what it is. If you stop deciding it's uncomfortable, if you stop deciding whether it's pain, well, guess what? It's not pain anymore, it's not uncomfortable anymore. So it's all about mindset. So do contractions hurt? I can't even answer that question. It shows how you already anticipate on contractions, and you don't want to anticipate. You want to be in the zone, you want to be in the now, and you want to enjoy the first phase of the breath hold, which comes before the contractions, which is the relaxation phase. If you are anticipating already on contractions, how can you enjoy the relaxation phase? You can't. Peace in every breath.